Hei og hår folkens over internett, og velkommen tilbake til en ny video. Mitt navn Bluedude, og vi skal nå fortsette på å spille The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. Så, i forrige episode har vi kommet inn i det nye contentet, det nye innholdet i dette her spillet, i Ultra Deluxe versjon av spillet. Og for øyeblikket ser det ut som vi inne i kontoret mitt her. Men egentlig ikke. Vi har et nytt område å se. Jeg kan trykke på maleriet, du. Lurer på om det var noe muligens achievements, det er jo så mye achievement på alt mulig rart. Men
Psst! Stanley!
Ja?
Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Ok. La oss, jeg lurer på om jeg trodde jeg skulle trykke på noe for å krabbe. Det føles litt vel liksom Portal Valve Half-Life-stil på det nå.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret.
Kult. Jeg liker det visuelle her. Det er kult, det er kult. Med kontorstoler. Passer ikke akkurat riktig helt inn i temaet på dette her stedet.
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
Hadde det?
Oh, the waste.
Gå gjennom alt dette her. Dette er en del av minnet på spillet. Nomini, nummer 3. New video game releasing, så er det alltid detaljer her. Kult, det. Hvem er det kona mi kanskje så har blitt sur på meg, for det har gått for mye på jobb, og ikke sier oppmerksomhet til henne, og ikke lyst til å gjøre ting sammen med henne. Ok, jeg er jo enig i det, hvis det er det i tilfellet. Kan jeg sette meg ned og sette her? Nei, kan jeg ikke.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable.
Reviews?
Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Content? Mer content, please. Skal vi se, lyst til å se her nede, er det noe her? Ingenting å vente. Jeg har lyst til å se litt på bildene her, sånn minner, mind control facility, ting. Alt for oss har vært igjen i spillet her. Person of the year, hvem er det? Er det meg, kanskje? Hva er dette her? Jeg lurer på om det er programmet de har laget i spillet, kanskje? I don't know. Det er godt mulig.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
et spill man kan godt komme tilbake igjen og spille og tenke på, nostalgien og alt det der. Som gamle spill som Metal Gear, Portal, Half-Life og de andre klassiske storspillene. Og det er jo mange andre også storspill.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before.
Oh,
what's this?
det
What's
her
down
virker litt
here?
kreppet
Oh
og
no.
slitt.
God no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years.
Oh.
I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Jeg har jo en del, vi vet jo at det finnes, vi har jo gode reviews på Steam. Det finnes jo også sånne, de som er negative, de toxic, og da så lurer på om det er dette her. Ja.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Funny. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Ja, det blir virkelig et sted å utforske dette her nå, altså. Minner ikke noe særlig om Stanley Parable når du går gjennom et område som dette her. Opp ned. Oh.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Narrator, stemmen, du er jo en flott fyr, altså. Så det at noen prekker ned for deg, det må du ikke gjøre. Stå på dine egne bein, ha tann på tann, eller hva det heter. Bare være en positiv person, det gjør deg flott.
You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
Det lurer på om dette er ekte comments.
Well, yes.
Yes, I think we can do
that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Ta gjerne imot, ta ikke imot.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all, until the end of time...
Du skal skippe han nå. Bare skippe han for nå.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and mental ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of rumination and more of it Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place.
Ja, begynner du å ramle igjen
I
her.
should become better. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now,
Thank
I
you.
should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes. It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble.
Ja, bla 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 bla.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
Wow, okay.
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone.
Oh.
I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000
Oh, vi
times.
skipper oss ut av
And there's
tiden.
no door, Stanley. There's no...
Skipper oss ut av tiden.
Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing.
Ja.
Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that
Hvis det
feel
hadde
like
vært
what
den
we've
dør, så hadde
already
jeg
been
gått
doing?
ut av den,
Me
men
just
jeg...
talking. But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities.
Ok, jeg begynner å bli igjen her nå. Hallo? Narrator? Hvor mange år har det jo gått nå? Wow, det liker ikke den pipelyden der. Brannalarmen? Ja, hvis det er en brannalarm, så må det komme ut her da. Men kanskje jeg... Nei, det gir ikke noe forklaring. La oss bare trykke oss videre.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us. Now he went, shut up. It's the inconsistency. It's the lack of a...
Det er jo litt deilig med stillhet, men samtidig litt sånn... Kan bli litt ensomt. Sånn som nå. Ok, litt for ensomt.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never...
Wow. Jeg lurer på om jeg bare trykker meg videre her. Hvor mange 100 år har det gått nå, tro? Eller har det gått tilbake i tid? Eller nei, det har gått til frem i tid. Det her virker... Hva skjedde i verden her nå? Eller så bare skipper jeg mer. Et lys i mitt liv, et lys i mitt liv. Jeg tror vi bare trykker meg videre. Alle ganger tenker jeg Last of Us her nå, når jeg ser grønt med at naturen har tatt tilbake jorden på en måte. Men la oss skippe videre. Hva skjedde med verden nå? Jeg tør ikke tenke på det. Freaky. La oss skippe den tiden her, den likte jeg ikke. Knappene funker ikke lenger. Hva skjedde med verden, tror jeg? Tør jeg gå ut av ikke? Verden har blitt en ørken. Hvor skal jeg gå egentlig? Jeg er i hvert fall fri fra nørretene. Han prater veldig mye til tider, så det er jo derfor jeg måtte skippe tid da. Men samtidig så savner jeg han. Narrator?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Det virker som at spillet resetter seg igjen. Det betyr at vi skal utforske et nytt sted. Men det tar vi og gjør i neste episode. Jeg tenker ikke bli så mange videoer på spillet. Så jeg har lyst til å spare noen, så dere kan taste selv hvis du har lyst til det. Så hvis du da er ny til kanalen, må du selvfølgelig abonnere. Det er noen som har trykk på tommel opp. Sett noe så pris på, og så inntil neste gang, folkens, snakkes med deg. Hei ho!
Yo, listen up, here's a story about a little guy that lives in a blue world. And all day and all night and everything he sees is just a blue